Hello, everybody. Hey, guys, and welcome to our Bachelorette live show. We are here to dish all about the dramatic Men Tell All last night, and we are going to look over the previews for next week's Bachelorette. There is only 3 guys left. We already had hometowns. We got fantasy suites. We got the final 2. We have a lot to talk about. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, joined by the lovely Gianna Gravelisi and Morgan Wright. Gianna, how are you doing today? What did you think of the Men Tell All?
Oh, I am doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And last night was crazy. I mean, talk about drama. I always love a good men tell all when you can't even understand anything that these men are saying because they're all screaming over each other. And I love how we had some of our quieter underdogs kind of speaking up throughout the men tell all, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But overall, I'm very satisfied with how it went and all the drama that we saw last night. Very entertaining.
Yeah, it was very dramatic, surprisingly dramatic, considering I felt like a lot of the guys were more low key on the season. We were complaining about the lack of drama this season, but the men delivered, and I was pleasantly surprised and entertained. Morgan, what did you think about the tell all?
Yeah, I mean, the Men Tell All and After the Final Rose are always my favorite episodes. I just feel like they're so juicy. It's like really the chance that everybody has to hash things out. I thought it was really, really good last night, you guys. I felt like it had the perfect amount of drama mixed with the perfect amount of, retelling these love stories. I kind of wish we would have seen a little bit more of Michelle. I feel like she didn't get a whole lot of time at the end. But all in all, I am pleased with the Men Tell All from last night.
Yeah, it was just good. And like I said, it was surprisingly good. And we're going to break it down and get into all of it. But before we do that, make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel, ring the bell so you never miss out, and leave your questions and comments in the live chat right now because we're going to read some of them and we want to hear your opinions at the end of the live. But I want to start with the Will versus Peter drama. The two of them had to hash it out from their major feud this season. Will called Peter a narcissist. Peter threw Will's jacket in the pool, and it seemed like the beef did not end after filming, so much so that Tasha and Caitlyn pulled up receipts of what seemed to be Will writing bad reviews at Peter's Pizzeria. Gianna, what did you make of all of that and the Peter and Will drama, and do you think that Will wrote those reviews?
Oh my God. I mean, first of all, these are two what are supposed to be grown men really truly arguing over pizza. And I think Caitlyn made a comment about that that was actually like so
Yeah.
hilarious last night. And it was funny. At the end of the day, their drama was hysterical. And, I understand Will's frustration with Peter just based on what we saw in that big episode when Peter threw his jacket into the pool for no reason. And it's clear that we obviously, as we all know, didn't see a lot of what actually was going on inside the house because it seems like it wasn't just Will that had beef with Peter. It was
Mhm.
everybody. Like everybody just was against Peter and had nothing but horrible things to say about him and his ego and what he
Yeah.
was saying about his pizza throughout the season. So I think that, Peter was definitely not a good person in the house, but I think Will should have been the bigger person, especially when the show ended. I mean, I don't think he wrote all of those reviews. I think Peter mentioned something about Will had posted Peter's pizza shop on his socials. And as we know, like these men get a big following, especially after, they're sent home and all these people follow them after their time on the show. So it could have been Will's followers doing those comments. Maybe Will kind of encouraged them to do something like that. And I think there was one review at the end where Will said, I may or may not have wrote that or something like that. He alluded to
Yeah.
the fact that he did write it. So I don't think he wrote all of them, but I think he definitely wrote one, which is like so immature of him to do. Like I think with these men and even in life, like you can't fight fire with fire, and like he truly should have been the bigger person and he didn't do that at the end of the day. And like I was rooting for Will, especially after he was like crying over what Peter was doing to him. I was like, poor guy, but now I just don't feel bad and they both look like man children. So
I think Will definitely persuaded his followers to write bad reviews on his pizzeria, which I don't think was right. And I thought it was a little strange that Tasha and Caitlyn like showed those. But I also think at the end of the day, it might bring Peter more success at his business, even though they're showing the bad reviews. It was almost like they're showing that these reviews are fake because Peter said that he's always had excellent reviews and excellent customer service. So if anything, it's giving Peter's Pizzeria more attention. I was definitely team Peter last night because I felt like Peter was the one that was trying to be mature and trying to make things up with Will, and I felt like Will was the one being petty and being a smartass and being extra and loud and obnoxious, and it got really ugly between them that Peter had a lawyer come in at the end of the segment with a document that he was suing Will for defamation. Will tossed the papers, and Will also mentioned that Peter's sister was in his DMs. And then towards the end of the tell all, Peter made the initiative to let bygones be bygones. And then they cheered over pizza. It was a lot. Morgan, I want to know, do you think Peter is actually going to sue Will? And what do you think happened in the DMs with the sister and Will?
So one, I don't think that he's actually gonna get sued. I feel like you could tell that guy that came out was totally an actor. He gave me like mob boss vibes, like just walking up like he owned the place and he's gonna serve him these papers. I was like, what is going on? Who is this guy? How did he get backstage? How did he get clearance to walk up on the stage? Like clearly everybody had to be in on this. And I also just feel like the sister comment was such like just something that you would say in middle school. Like I was waiting on one of these two to be like, "Oh yeah, and I'm hooking up with your mom." You know what I mean? Like I felt like that is what was coming next. Like that level of petty. Are we in middle school? I remember thinking to myself the first 15 minutes, I was like, are they really going to be fighting about pizza the whole entire time? And I think at the end of the day, I'm just glad that Michelle did not end up with either of those two.
Facts. Okay, but Morgan, I want to know before we move on, are you team Peter or team Will if you had to choose?
Oh, it's a good question. And I kind of go back and forth. I feel like writing those reviews about Peter's business is below the belt. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
that is his livelihood. That's how he makes his money. That's how he supports himself, anybody else. So I feel like, you can throw a jacket in the pool here. You can make a comment about a sister here. But when you go after somebody's business, that affects their day-to-day life, and I really didn't like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to pick either of
By
them
default,
because
you're
it
by
was
default,
both
you're team
terrible,
Peter.
but by default I'm team Peter and his pizzeria.
Me too. And I felt like Peter was the one that tried to make things right. Like Will was the one being petty all the way up until the end. Like Peter at least tried to show some maturity. I don't care if he's obnoxious. So I'm team Peter. Gianna, are you going to Peter's Pizzeria anytime soon if you're in Florida? Would you try the pizza? Would you leave a good review? Be honest.
Well, I'm going to Florida on Thursday, so that maybe I'll just have to take a
Oh,
visit to Peter's
you have
Pizzeria.
to.
Um, exactly. And me being Italian and like there's a pizza oven in my backyard. I can literally see it right now. I have to try the pizza because I'm a
Yes.
pizza connoisseur. I'm a pizza aficionado. So I think I'm the only one that can actually find out if the pizza's good or not. So I'll let you guys
Oh
know.
my
Stay
God.
tuned.
Let us know. We will be looking forward to that review. Switching gears a little bit, I want to talk about Martin. Martin got a lot of criticism by the other guys this season for putting his foot in his mouth multiple times throughout the season. Last night, Will was the one that called out Martin for conveniently going on a break with a girl right before going into filming The Bachelorette. Now Martin is in a relationship with that same girl he was dating before filming. They've moved in together. Martin put on his Instagram story a picture of him and the girl in front of the Hollywood sign. He did not show her face, but it really came out of nowhere because Martin already had enough red flags. Little did we know he may or may not have broken up with his girlfriend before filming. Morgan, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Martin is just one giant red flag. Even before we knew
Giant.
what was going on with this girlfriend situation, Martin to me feels like a guy who always gets what he wants, is never told no. And I think when he's trying to win over the affection of somebody like Michelle, who, in my opinion, is just leaps and bounds out of his league and he gets turned down. I
Absolutely.
think his ego was so bruised. And I think that's why he kind of really went off the deep end of being an absolute D-bag. I hope that he's nicer to his current girlfriend. If he's not, sis, you deserve better.
Oh, period. And maybe we'll see Martin on Paradise if he wants to break up with his girlfriend and then come back on the show. Like, Martin is just so obnoxious to me, and I've seen his Instagram. He's written a couple captions saying not everything is what it seems and this and that, and I just don't buy it. I really just think he's not fully there. He's just not self-aware about how obnoxious he comes across. Gianna, what were your overall thoughts on Martin, and to kind of Michelle when she came out? How do you think that apology went, and where do you stand with Martin moving forward?
I really strongly dislike him, and last night made me really even more strongly dislike him even more so than I already did. And
Yeah.
even when Michelle came out, like his apology was a kind of apology, and he just kept like he was apologizing, but he kept like defending himself in a way, and like I don't think that that's an apology. Like you cannot be defending yourself and your actions when you were clearly in the wrong. So I still think his apology was BS. I think he was just trying to save himself and make himself look good. But this guy, I mean, I feel bad for his current girlfriend. If I were the current girlfriend, like watching him like and how he acted toward Michelle and toward the other guys and how he disrespected everybody in the house, I would literally dump him, leave him immediately. Like he's not a good guy. I don't want to see him in Paradise. I don't want to hear about him or talk about him ever again.
Okay, well then on that note, we can
Agreed.
move on. And he is not final rose material. No matter what he says, we can move on. And if you guys are just joining the live, make sure to leave those comments and questions in the live chat right now because we're going to be reading them. We want to hear from you guys and hear from your opinions. So we'll be getting to that at the end of the live. I want to talk about a little bit more of a lighter note. One of the good guys, we had Rick. He was the first one to get a hot seat, which is usually where you get your Bachelor audition, except we already know Clayton was the one who became the Bachelor. Rick decided to stay out of the drama during the tell-all. However, he did make it clear that he was not a fan of Chris S. Morgan, what were your thoughts on Rick's subtle silence and like maybe even his little dig towards Chris S throughout the episode?
I feel like Rick is one of those people who understands the assignment. You know what I mean? And I feel like anything that Rick says, because he is so careful about what he says, that I believe his intentions are pure. He's not just saying things about people just to get screen time. I believe that he probably really does look at these guys as individuals and suss them out. Do you get what I'm trying to say? He's not just going to
Yeah.
start drama just for the heck of it. When he has something to say, it's because it's something that is of importance. So I feel like I trust
Mm-hmm.
Rick. I trust his judgment. I was really rooting for him. I think he's a little cutie. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve. And to see, him relive his heartbreak last night was tough. But I also think Rick had a little bit of a glow up. I mean, I've always thought he was
Ooh.
attractive, but last night I thought he was looking really good last night.
He did look good, and I agree with that. I think he is not going to start drama. He doesn't need that. He's very handsome. He's very successful. However, I didn't really buy that him and Michelle had that connection. I kind of felt like they were more friends, and I didn't see the chemistry there throughout the season. I didn't buy the whole. I don't know if it was a sob story, but I just didn't feel like he was that hurt over his breakup with Michelle. I think that they're great people. I think Rick's a good guy, but I didn't see their connection being so strong. So, I don't know. But Gianna, what did you think of Rick? Do you want to see him be the Bachelor or go on Paradise? And what are your thoughts on Chris S? Because he did not seem to grow or mature from when he left the show a few months back.
Oh boy. Well, when it comes to Rick, I totally love him. Morgan, I also have a crush on him. He's so cute. Like Rick for Bachelor, Rick for Paradise. Like I want to see him
Rick for
anywhere and
president.
everywhere. But it's interesting you say that, Zach, about him and Michelle's connection, because I agree. Like throughout this season, I didn't see that like strong romantic, and he even went as far to say is like he could see like starting a family with Michelle, and I was just like, when? Like when did that happen? But
Where?
I don't, yeah. So again, it's like, it just goes to show that I guess we really don't see a lot of what happens on the show. I mean, last night they even showed a whole challenge that they didn't even include in the season. So
Mhm.
it's like we really never know at the end of the day like how strong the connections were. Like we only base our thoughts off of what we see on our screens. So maybe they really did have that connection, but it just wasn't showed as much because they were probably trying to focus more on like Nate and Joe and Brandon, like those guys that are now in our bottom three, as we now know. But yeah, it made me sad watching him. And it seemed like his little montage was like a Bachelor-esque edit. Like while I was watching it, I was like, wow, like I can't believe, like, don't get me wrong, love Clayton, but like I was like, wow, I can't believe like Rick's not the Bachelor right now. Like just the way that they were making like editing, and everyone was sad and like people were crying for him. And then of course this moment, like him eating his own head as a cake, it was just
Oh,
amazing
yes.
as a whole.
Thank you for
But
bringing that
yeah, I
up.
think, oh, it's so good. I loved this moment. And I think he had every right to dig at Chris S, because Chris S was a psycho. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do not like him either at all.
Chris S just didn't understand the assignment. I mean, he did not seem to grow or
No.
mature since the Men Tell All. His dramatic moment of the season was, of course, when he interrupted the one-on-one date with Nate and Michelle. Doesn't feel like he took accountability for that. And Chris got called out by a lot of the guys, but specifically Olu. Chris made a comment about Olu's education throughout the season, and Olu wanted to put him in his place and teach him about Black excellence. Olu ended up standing up to make his point, but may have taken it a little too far when he tried to get in Chris's face, and Peter and Rodney had to get him to back off. Morgan, what were your thoughts of that moment? I feel like we're on the same page that Olu like was, standing up for Chris, but do you think he took it a little too far, or do you think it was needed?
So when I watched this, first and foremost, I was taken aback by how great he looks in this burnt orange suit. Who can pull off that color besides Olu? He
No
looks
one.
phenomenal. But second of all, at first I'm like, I was surprised just because I haven't seen like that much of Olu go to that level. But at the same time, I think sometimes somebody like Chris S needs somebody to get in their face to really get the message through their brain. Otherwise, they're just never going to get it. Do I think that Olu was going to punch Chris in the face at the Men Tell All? No, I don't think that they were ever going to get physical. So I feel like, commenting about his intelligence, who the heck are you to say anything about that to anybody? So I'm like, you know what? I'm team Olu all day, every day. I don't think that he ever had the intention of getting physical, but I think he wanted to stand up for himself, get in Chris's face, and like let the message be known loud and freaking clear. Don't mess with Olu.
Period. I kind of agree with that. I just didn't think he needed to stand up, but I totally second what you were saying. Chris it seems like a wimp. He doesn't seem like he wants to take responsibility for himself. And out of all of the guys who apologized this season, I really felt like Chris did the worst job and really tried to stay quiet so that he didn't have to own up to his past mistakes. Morgan, silly question. Do you ship Tasha and Olu? I've seen that one a lot.
I do. I mean, how can you not? I feel like they're just both so lovable in their own ways. And I feel the same way about Tasha and Rodney. I would ship Tasha and Rodney. I
Ooh.
would ship Tasha and Rick. I feel like those
Oh.
three are my three favorites of the season. And I feel like Tasha would be great with any of those three guys.
Well, we definitely want to see Tasha find love whenever she's ready, because we all saw what happened with her breakup with Zach. But Gianna, I have a random question for you about Casey. He did not have any airtime throughout the season. He had literally actually nothing to say throughout the season, but somehow had everything to say about last night on the Tell All. Do you think Casey was spitting facts, or was he doing way too much?
Oh, I think he was spitting facts. And again, I said in the beginning of this live, like, I love the fact that our more so like quieter underdogs kind of stepped up to the plate and were more vocal, because again, maybe they were more vocal throughout the season, but everything they said just so happened to be cut out because they were sent home early on, and the producers and the editors didn't really want to give them much screen time because of that. And it's funny, Zach, I remember a shoot that you and I actually did a long time ago, and you were like, who is Casey? You read it and you're like, I don't even know who
I
that
was so
is. And it was way back
confused.
when there were so many guys, but he was one of our oldest, if not the oldest youngest contestant for out of all of Michelle's men. And so when he was speaking last night, I was looking at him like an old wise like dad or like grandfather, like spitting actual facts because like he's been through it, he's experienced, and like, and he did make a comment in the one of the episodes on Michelle's season when Will and Peter were fighting, saying like, this is so funny to watch them like act like literal children, like when they're supposed to be fighting for like Michelle's love. So I've always liked Casey, even though we never saw much of him. I don't think he was doing too much. I think he was saying what he needed to say, and it wasn't extra, in my opinion.
I mean, he was saying what we were all thinking, and at first I was taken aback, but then I was like, I get it. Like, Casey, I agree with you. You didn't say one thing I didn't agree with. So, I mean, maybe we'll see Casey on Paradise, but I don't want to not mention Tasha. Now, we did talk about Tasha in other shared news videos, so be sure to check those out on our channel. We do want to talk about the men here, but Tasha did address the situation with Zach very briefly. If you guys did not watch, she ended up walking off during this stage during Rodney's segment. All Tasha said is that she was heartbroken, she tried to make it work, and she was devastated. Morgan, do you want to just shed a little light before we move on to Rodney about what happened with Tasha?
Yeah, I mean, it was the elephant in the room, and I know there have been some critics saying that that was not the time. Let's not make it about Tasha. This is about Michelle's journey. But look, at the end of the day, ABC had Tasha in the room. It was being taped. All of Bachelor Nation wants to know about this. When else are you going to get that opportunity besides maybe at after the final rose? But I think that it would be way worse for them to take that after the final rose moment away from Michelle. So it's like, if they're going to address it on the show, which ABC is going to want the ownership of that, it's going to be on the men tell all. I thought it was fine.
Absolutely.
It was 3 minutes max. She didn't really tell us anything, I feel like, that we didn't already know. It was very cut and dry. She's heartbroken. She tried really hard to make it work. I feel for Tasha. I mean, I love her. I want her to find happiness. And maybe she'll tell us more later. Maybe she won't. But at the end of the day, I just want her to find true love.
Absolutely. And we'll be looking forward to hearing more about what Tasha has to say in the future if she ever feels comfortable. And make sure to subscribe to our channel at Shared News. We have our Tasha breakdown coming later today, so definitely check that out. But Rodney got to the second hot seat of like the good guys who wasn't a villain. He had a heart-to-heart. He talked about his experience on the show and what it was like being an underdog. And when Michelle came out, it was clear that they still had a solid friendship, and we even got to see their handshake at the end of the credits. It was really a romantic moment. Morgan, do you want to see Rodney for Bachelor? Do you want to see him on Paradise? What did you think of Rodney's segment?
I just love Rodney. Anytime he's on the screen, I am smiling the whole entire time. I loved seeing that little extra of the basketball scene where he made that shot and he was dancing all over the court. I thought that was hilarious. I will take Rodney like in any fashion on the ABC franchise, whether it's for Bachelor, whether it's Bachelor in Paradise. We're here for Rodney. I feel like, in my opinion, I wasn't rooting for a lot of guys this season. I just didn't feel like they were mature enough for Michelle. I felt like, honestly, Michelle was too good for a lot of her guys, but Rodney was one of the ones that I was really rooting for.
Rodney grew on me a lot throughout the season. I didn't really like him at first. I was confused why he showed up in an apple, and I just didn't feel like he was on Michelle's level, but he proved me wrong. He has a stellar personality. He's kind. He's humble. He has a silent confidence about him, and he really was the underdog. But you know who else was the underdog, apparently? Gianna Clayton, with this whole saying on his poster that he was the underdog when Rodney was the actual underdog. What did you think about that, and what did you think about all the guys kind of praising Clayton during last night's episode since he was not there?
I agree with you when you say like Rodney was the true underdog. And again, it's like not to say that there can't be multiple underdogs, but it's like Rodney, like he touched on something about not being the tallest or not being the most fit or not being like the best looking. And I think that that's something that we can all relate to in our own personal lives when it comes to being in relationships. Whereas like Clayton is somebody that he's tall and handsome and he was an NFL player and like he has this whole bachelor package, and like Rodney's not our typical like tall handsome guy. Not to say that he's not handsome, I think he's so cute, but I think that that's more important when it comes to being that underdog, and I think a lot of people can relate and look up to Rodney because of that. So I don't think like, you know, Clayton was like trying to steal Rodney's spotlight or anything. I think Clayton like also has his own insecurities and like confidence issues too, that he thought he was an underdog. But I think in all of our eyes, Rodney was the underdog, and Rodney for Bachelor, Rodney for Paradise, Rodney for President, for everything. And then you asked
Rodney
me
for
a
everything.
second part of that question that I don't remember.
They talked about Clayton. They talked about Clayton while he wasn't there. Did you think Clayton should have been there?
Oh. I no, because Clayton already spoiled the end of his season on Good Morning America, and the producers and editors already spoiled his season in the preview that they showed us. So I'm like, Clayton, just stay home and don't give us anything else.
Stay
like, I don't
home.
want to hear from you at all. And I think having Clayton not there really builds the suspense for the start of his season. So I think it's a good idea that he wasn't. The one thing that did bother me was there was a part in last night's trailer where Clayton revealed that he was intimate with both women at the same time or something. And when the trailer ended, all the men, all of Michelle's men were like, who hurt Clayton? Like, that's my boy, like, blah, 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 blah. Rather than being like, Clayton, you messed up. Like, they were all kind of like putting him on a pedestal, whereas like he kind of messed up with these women. In a sense, that's the only thing that kind of bothered me about last night. But other than that, I loved that they were rooting for him and like they were on his side, I guess.
I mean, and I believe they probably were prepped to be on his side regardless.
Yes.
But we'll have to see what plays out during Clayton's season, because one thing I learned is that we think we know these trailers, but then after you see them, it's just like the context. You really do need to see the full story. So I can't wait for Clayton's season. We'll obviously be back. There is one guy left to discuss. I've held on it long enough. It was Jamie. Jamie was not allowed to sit at the Men Tell All for the majority of filming. They kept him backstage until he had his hot seat to confront the men. From his dramatic time on the season, Jamie did not seem to feel bad at first, and he wouldn't take accountability. Even when Michelle came out, he was fighting the apology every step of the way. Jamie is just the biggest eye roll, and I think that's why I did not want to bring him up for so long. But Morgan, this is so interesting. We've been watching for years. They usually have the villain come out, and it's just like it's so exclusive to not even let him stand on stage unless it's like his hot seat. What did you think about that and Jamie overall?
I mean, when you say Jamie is an eye roll, like he truly is the biggest eye roll of all time. And it's like, is this guy for real? Like, is he just accepting the fact that he's the villain this year and really leaning into that? Or is this guy's actual personality? Because if it is, how did he get cast on this show to begin with? Like, you want genuine good people, unless like this is really who he is and the Bachelor producers just knew, look, this guy is going to be our villain. I think obviously it makes it more dramatic when he's not on stage with the rest of the guys. Do I think it was necessary? Not really. I mean, what would have happened? Like, there would have been more drama with him sitting there. So, and that's what they want, right? So maybe it was just another shtick. Maybe it was something different that we haven't seen before. But I'm just so over Jamie. I think everybody is at this point.
Oh, Michelle is over him too. I mean, she definitely had to put him in his place, but Michelle came out, and it seems like a lot of the guys apologized to Michelle. Gianna, who do you think owed Michelle the most apology? Who do you think gave her the best apology? And who do you think gave her a horrible apology? There was quite a few guys.
I believe that Martin owed her the biggest apology just because of what he said about, I mean, he commented about the way she handles her trauma. Like, you can't say that. You literally, who in their right mind that, I
And then
want
he's
to
like, it's
fight
a
him, I think.
misunderstanding, miscommunication.
Yeah, misunderstanding. Like, you said it word for word, and then he outwardly lied. And granted, he admitted he lied, but just like, how psychotic can one be? So I think he owed her the biggest apology. I think Jamie gave her the worst apology. And then the third question was mediocre.
Chris
Did you
S.
say? Chris
Yeah,
S.
like,
It was
yeah. He just
Yeah.
didn't. Morgan, what are your overall thoughts on, Michelle's segment when she came out and her reactions to the guys and everything?
I just think Michelle is a boss. And that's one thing that I really do have to commend her on the way that she has handled this season. Even when she says, like women don't get supported. So the fact that she took on this wild, wild group of guys, I don't think I've ever seen a group of guys like attack someone's character to that level. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she had a lot of personal character attacks this season, which I at least I can't remember we've ever seen something like that before with the Bachelorette as the
Yeah.
lead. I just think that she constantly handled herself with grace, with dignity. She knew exactly what she wanted. She was not here for these D bags who were giving her a bunch of BS. And whenever she felt like something was off, she trusted her gut and she let them go. I think she has been a really great Bachelorette.
She was very classy throughout the entire experience. Maybe she wasn't the most like fascinating reality TV star because she wasn't as much drama, but I think she got a bad hand. A lot of those guys should have been on F Boy Island instead of the Bachelorette, and it really showed at tonight's Men Tell All. Gianna, we're gonna go through some of these clips, but I want to know who do you think was the best dress of the night out of the three girls? Obviously, we love them all, but whose dress was your favorite? Caitlyn, Tasha, or Michelle's?
Ooh, I loved Tasha's. It's I love that you asked that, Zach, because I was looking at them last night when they were all together, and I'm like, they look so beautiful, and they look like a beautiful like fall like foliage leaf, like with these like fall colors all together. But I have to give it to Tasha because that corally burnt orange is one of my favorite colors ever. But they all looked stunning.
I really liked Caitlyn's dress. I thought I liked the green and I liked her high pony. Morgan, whose dress was your favorite?
I liked Caitlin's too, but I have to just preface it with that olive green color is my favorite color. It's my favorite color to wear for myself too. So I'm a little biased, but they all look great. I mean, they're all supermodels. Look at how shiny their legs are. How can we get our legs that shiny, you guys?
Yeah, what's the secret?
I don't know. Maybe some oil on the legs. But yeah, they looked beautiful. It was an amazing Men Tell All, and we are gearing up to the final 2 weeks of Michelle's journey. We're going to look at the explosive clips from the last 2 weeks. We're going to review them, give our live reactions, and then after that, we're going to accept live questions from you guys. So if you guys are just joining now, leave your questions, leave your opinions, anything Bachelor related, tweet us at Shared News. We cannot wait to go through them. But we have to see what is going to go down during the finale. This first clip shows nearly the end of Michelle's journey. Let's take a look.
We are nearly at the end of this journey, and I could be engaged in a few days. I have 3 incredible men.
Ooh, I cannot wait. We're going to go back and forth because we do have a lot of clips to review. So, Gianna, going into the final few weeks, who is your favorite? Who is your hot pick?
This question is so hard,
You have
but
to pick.
I'm gonna have to say Joe. That's it. Final
Okay.
answer.
Okay. Joe is your hot pick. All right. Let's take a look at this next clip because Nate is going crazy about Michelle. I think Nate is going to have the most drama in the next few weeks. It's going to be a lot. Let's take a look.
I am crazy about you.
I've never had a feeling like when I kiss Nate. He is soulmate material.
Ooh, soulmate material. Morgan, what are your thoughts on Nate? And who's your hot pick? Who are you rooting for out of the final 3 men?
Yeah, I mean, you don't throw around soulmate material about, anybody. So I feel like Nate is the guy to beat right now. I feel like she just is heart eyes over Nate. And I gotta be honest, I love Brandon. I just think he's the
Ooh.
cutest thing ever. I think he's head over heels for Michelle. I think that he would treat her like a queen because he is so in love with her. But I unfortunately don't think that Brandon is going to be the one at the end of it.
I think like Brandon is the most like infatuated with Michelle, but they just seem like they're on two different pages. I think her connection with Nate is the hottest. It just seems like there's some drama and baggage with Nate that Brandon and Joe don't have. So that's where it gets confusing. So let's keep watching because I want to see what goes down. These trailers really do give a lot away. So tread lightly if you guys are still listening. Let's look at this next clip, which will give us a sneak peek to Joe's fantasy suite.
Joe's my slice of home.
I'm falling even more in love with you.
There's just something so special about our connection.
Joe is her slice of home. Gianna, is that going to give him a huge advantage, or do we think it's out the window at this point and everyone's up for grabs?
I mean, I think from the beginning that gave him a huge advantage because it's just like that establishes a level of comfort, and that's the foundation of a relationship, being comfortable. So she's had to build that comfort with all the other guys, whereas like with Joe, it's already there, and they even got to bond in their own hometowns, like before hometowns even took place. So it's like that is something that I think definitely helped him a lot, but I think that he was a front runner from the beginning regardless. But I do think it's anyone's game at this point, though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I go back and forth in my head, like it's stressing me out.
It's definitely up for grabs. Anybody could win. Joe might have had an advantage, but there's 3 guys left, and I think she's in love with all of them. So let's take a next look at her date with Brandon.
Kissing the most beautiful woman in the world. Does it get better than this?
I can see spending my life with Brandon.
Wow. I mean, she really is into Brandon, and we've talked about fireworks and what they mean on The Bachelorette. They do not waste fireworks on anyone. I mean, they gave Nate fireworks halfway through the season. Morgan, what do we think? Do you think Brandon has a chance? Where do you think he'll place out of the final 3 guys?
Yeah, I mean, let's go with the firework trend. Let's say Nate and Brandon, final 2. I feel like Nate is the type of guy that you're drawn to, but you're scared to. Like for me, I always liked the bad boys growing up. You know what I mean? Especially when they show interest in you. Not saying that Nate is a bad guy. I'm not saying that at all. I just feel like he's got a little bit of an edge, whereas Brandon is more of like a safe choice. So which one Michelle will go with, I'm not sure.
I love that. I think those are my final 2 picks as well. And we've seen this on The Bachelorette a lot. Sometimes the leads pick the safe choice and later regret it later on. So Brandon definitely has a chance, but Nate does bring a lot of drama. So let's kind of see what goes down in this next clip.
This is tough for me. I've been so focused on my connection with Michelle that it wasn't until today that I realized I'm not the only one catching feelings for her.
I mean, that is valid. We see this every season. I could never fall in love with someone that was in love with someone else. If I was on this show, I would be the most dramatic person ever because it would bother me so much that the guy I was kissing was kissing other. I would honestly crash the date too, like Chris S. I don't know why I was so hard on him. Gianna, what do we think? Is Nate going to kind of crash these last couple of weeks? Because it does get really intense.
Yeah, I mean,
Ooh.
I don't think I'm with you, Zach. Like, I am, not that I'm a jealous type, but I just can't wrap my head around the fact that, like, the person that I'm dating and, like, supposed to be getting engaged to is, like, also in that exact same process. Like, that to me is cheating. I'm like, they're cheating on me on
It's cheating.
television. Like, it's like it's being in an open relationship, and I've never been down for that. But that's just me.
A one-way street.
Exactly. So I can see if Nate, like, if he's freaking out or maybe like sends himself home, I can understand why, but that might be for the better because with Nate, like, we saw in hometowns, like, there may be some red flags with him and how, like, he acts in relationships and, like, the fact that, he's never really brought a girl home like that. He's just kind of been around. So it's so hard to say. Again, these trailers just freak me out. And, like, I don't think he's going to crash any dates, though. I think there just might be, like, a conversation or, like, a vent session. That's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. And it's up to Michelle to reassure him, especially in the fantasy suites when there's no cameras. We've heard leads talk about what goes down in the fantasy suites after their contract is up, and sometimes they tell you. They tell the lead straight up. They tell the winner. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna pick you." They already have made up their mind. So if Michelle is going to pick Nate, she should tell him in the fantasy suite and then just ride it out. We've seen it before. Nobody will know. Let's take a look at this next clip because Michelle is definitely falling in love with all three of the guys.
When you're in love with three people, how do you know which person is your person?
I feel like went from bros to foes.
Yeah, and this is something else I find interesting. Towards the end of every season, we see the guys no longer want to be around each other. They no longer want to be friends. Sometimes they end up hating each other, like Sean Booth and Nick Viall, Josh Murray and Nick Viall. Like, there is this rivalry. Do you think that could happen at the final few weeks, Morgan, between a few of the guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if their feelings for Michelle are as real as they say that they are. I mean, like you guys said, we wouldn't be cool with our significant other dating other people at the same time. So I feel like this is where it starts to get a little dicey between the guys. It's like, when you're living in the house with 30 of them and you don't really know what's going on, it's easier to get along. But when it's down to the wire like this, this is when things start to get tense.
Oh, absolutely. And the guys are going to fight for Michelle, so let's take a look at this next clip.
Do I think Nate's ready? No.
Brandon is a good guy, but I'm her guy.
That's my woman. That's my wife.
Not it. I want to let these guys know that's my girl.
Yes, I love that Nate is like taking dominance in there. I don't think they need to be having those conversations to each other. Like, keep a poker face, and that's why they can't be around each other. Like, do not. Like, Brandon shouldn't have said that, and that almost makes me believe that Brandon is a little delusional that he would even say that. Like, if you really know Michelle's your girl, you're gonna say it in a confessional privately, not in front of the other guys. So now I'm like, Brandon, what are you doing? Gianna, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that was just like, it's like Japanese fighting fish. Like, put them in the same tank, they're gonna eventually end up like killing each other. And it's like three guys that are all trying to get the same girl. And I think Brandon, like with him, and as we've touched on before, like Morgan said, like he's head over heels, like obsessed in a way with Michelle. Like, I think that his love for her is so strong that like that's a defense tactic of his to say something like that and kind of like claim her, which I don't think that you should look at anybody as like a prize or like yours, or like you have ownership over the person. But yeah, I think he was just I think he's stressing, and I think that he just wanted to say whatever he had to say to let the other guys know that he's not playing around.
Yeah, he is not. Let's keep rolling. We have a few clips left. The guys are going to be meeting Michelle's parents. This is where the spoiler comes, guys, because usually they only introduce two men to the parents. So unless they're doing something different, I think we can predict our final two based on this next clip. You've been warned.
My concern is that you would become a jealous person. She has these feelings for you, and I just hope that there.
Okay, so we couldn't see who he was talking to, but we're just gonna play the next clip because I remember seeing it when I watched the full trailer, and I want to get your reaction. So let's play the next one.
Very ready to get down on one knee.
I'm not sure you're 100% in. That just changed everything. I could have stronger feelings for him than he does for me.
Ooh, Morgan, what do we think about that?
I mean, it's a valid concern. And I feel like we kind of see this, at least with the Bachelorette seasons, a lot where these guys come in and they're telling their parents, I'm ready to get engaged. And they're like, you are? Like just everyone is normally surprised. Maybe not everyone, but I feel like that reaction is showing up more and more on seasons these days. I don't know. Do I think that Nate is ready to be a husband? I mean, I know Brandon said that he doesn't think that Nate is. I could see why he
Yeah.
would say that. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't know. I just have a bad gut feeling about what's going to happen with Nate. I can't really put my finger on it. But to me, it kind of seems like he likes Michelle. He maybe even loves Michelle and wants to be with her at the end of it, but maybe doesn't understand the significance of what will happen if he asks her for her hand in marriage.
Yeah. Because I really feel like Nate likes her and he digs her and he kind of said, that's my girl. Like, he wants to win. But I just don't see him moving to Minnesota and, like, being with Michelle, with her being a teacher. It's just, they just feel like they're on different pages and different lives. So I just don't know what will happen. But if you can tell by that clip, and if you made it this far, I warned you guys, it looks like Nate is going to the top 2. So that does mean Joe or Brandon will get 3rd, and then we don't know who's going to win. So it looks like he's going to be there. But let's keep looking. We got a few more clips.
I don't deserve to be constantly heartbroken.
Do you think I could talk to you?
Okay, this was the scene. I remember this, but Michelle was breaking down. This is where she was going to have her moment. This is the moment that she teased like halfway through the season when she did a bunch of press. It looks like she's going to be breaking down and crying at the rose ceremony over picking Brandon and Joe. That is my prediction. Gianna, what do you think this means and what is she going to do?
Well, in the clip that we just watched before this one, Michelle was also crying when she was talking to, I believe, Joe. I believe. I could be making that up. And it was the same dress. So I'm like, what happened? Like, did something happen? Is she. Oh, this is so hard. I think she is going to have a rough time choosing between these two. And I think that's what we're going to see here. And whoever she sends home, it's going to be a very dramatic, tears are flowing. She's going to have a talk with them. They're going to have like words to say back to her type of thing. But Brendan looks like he's not messing around like right now. Like, what does he have to tell her?
Yeah.
I'm so curious.
I mean, anything to keep him there. If he doesn't want to go home. He's in love with her. If he has one last thing to say before she makes this huge decision, I think he needs to say it. So I'm here for this.
Yeah.
Like, let her know, but will it be enough? Who knows? We have 2 more clips, so let's watch.
I think we lost
the
your
next
audio,
one.
Zach. Can you
Zach,
hear
we
her?
lost your audio.
Gianna?
I cannot hear you, and I'm so curious
We
to see
also
what you're
lost
saying.
Anna's audio. Did you guys hear me now?
I'm here.
Oh no,
Yep.
No one hears me?
I can.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. Well, we have a couple more clips, so let's keep it going because this is just too good right now. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Things get intense around here. Let's play it.
I would be devastated if he decided he couldn't do this.
I found my forever person. I don't.
Ooh, okay, that literally gave us nothing, but this clip is giving me that Brandon's making it to the top 2. He's getting ready. Like, these are so predictable. This is so, like, these trailers tell you, if you really pay attention and we're dissecting it, like, I really think that Brandon and Nate are going to be top 2. I don't know who's going to win. My prediction is Nate. I do think Brandon has a solid chance, though, but I really do think, where's Joe? He's not here anymore. He's just not here. Morgan, thoughts?
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like they're getting ready for the final rose ceremony. So it's like,
Exactly.
it is what it is. There you go, top 2.
There's you go. Okay, let's keep going because someone has a ring. Maybe they both have a ring. Maybe, I mean, they're going to the. Oh, I love when they go to the final rose ceremony and then they break up. I hate when she breaks up with one of them like the night before because we've seen that happen a lot. We need to see the dramatic heartbreaks like when Blake Hortzman got dumped by Becca Koof. I want to see that kind of heartbreak. Brandon. Okay, play.
Go. I don't want her to let me go.
Oh.
Falling in love is one thing, and engagement is another thing. Which of those are you ready for?
Ah! The intensity is real. That is, whose fingers is that, Gianna? I mean, I guess they all have the same skin tone.
I was just gonna say, like, whose hands are those? I'm about to go on Instagram and stalk the living hell out of everybody's hands. Like, I am dying to know because, like, they did cut to Joe I believe, right after this shot. But that, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that
It
those
could have
are
been a rose
Joe's
ceremony.
hands. That could be a totally different shot right there of something else. Like, the editors are very manipulative. I've always said this. So, oh, like, who and whose silhouette is that? It's, oh my
That
God,
was
we could
Joe. The
sit here and
silhouette was
unpack this.
definitely Joe. Go back
Okay,
to this. That
okay,
looks like Joe to me. But I think that
cute.
was this Joe's tie and what he was wearing. I think that was what he wore to the rose ceremony. So I'm still at my theory that Joe is third place. We have one more clip, and then Morgan, I want to know what you think. Let's play it. The drama. The drama. Morgan, is she getting engaged? It looks like she's breaking down.
I don't know. Here's my thing. I feel like on my engagement day, I would not want to be in this headspace. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like she has said in the trailer earlier that, she's falling in love with more than one person. So it's like, do I want her to get engaged? Of course. But I don't. And of course, we've seen bachelorettes and bachelors in the past have emotional goodbyes before they end up, accepting a proposal. But this to me feels different. Am I the only one that thinks that? I feel like you can really, like, she is going through it moments before she's supposed to be getting engaged.
Yeah, and I think that's also why a lot of Bachelor people sometimes repropose years later. We saw that with JoJo and Jordan, where they reproposed because you want that day to be special, and you don't want to share that with a breakup. We're going to close out the live, but I do want to get your final thoughts, Gianna, about what you think is going to happen.
I think that I I do think that Joe is going home. And I think that
Okay.
she's honestly going to regret that decision. Like, why did I just send Joe home? Like, because they were vibing. And I think all of Bachelor Nation is going to be shocked. We're all going to be throwing our wine glasses up in the air. And then I think that that's going to cause her to kind of go AWOL about, like, what's happening and, like, did I make the wrong decision? And that's why she's having a mental breakdown here. I ultimately do think that she is going to get engaged. I just hope that because like she's in like a stress state. Yeah, I hope it lasts. But with all these breakups, I have no hope for anything anymore in Bachelor Nation. So
Okay, a little optimism, but also some realistic views from Gianna Gravelisi, the one and only. Morgan, I don't want to cut you off. So what do you think is going to happen? And then I'll share what I think is going to happen.
I think she's going to get engaged. I think that she's going to end up with Nate, just to put it bluntly. I think that she's drawn to that edge. I think that, I can't fault her for that. I've been in the same situation where you have one super nice guy who would never do anything to hurt you. And then you have, the cool guy who's also into you, and you're just automatically more drawn to that guy. So I think that's how it's going to play out. That being said, I don't know how that would work out. Does Nate want to live in Minnesota? I don't see that happening,
no.
but I really hope that I'm wrong because I want Michelle to end up married. Can we please have like one couple get married out of the past 10
Literally.
seasons?
It's been a really rough time for bachelorettes. I think 4 couples just from the Bachelorette broke up this year. It's been a lot. I think Joe's getting third. I think Brandon is going to get second. I think he's going to be heartbroken. I think Michelle is going to be devastated sending him home. I think she's going to take the risk, go with Nate. I think he's going to propose. I think they're going to be happy. And I think they're going to break up in like 8 or 9 months. I think they'll make it a little bit longer. But then again, that's just my prediction, and I really wish them the best, and I hope that it all works out. And we really don't know what's going to happen since none of us really do read the spoilers, so let us know in the comments down below what you guys think is going to happen on the dramatic Bachelorette finale. We have 2 weeks left. They're going to Mexico next week. That is everything we have to share with you guys, so make sure you're subscribed to our channel and ring the bell. We'll be back to talk about the final couple of episodes in the next couple of weeks, all things Bachelor and Bachelorette. As always, I am your host, Zachary Rios. Reality, joined by Gianna Gravelisi and Morgan Wright. Our social media handles are on the screen right now. Feel free to DM us, ask us a question, or leave them in the comments down below. And that is everything we have to share. So we will catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Bye.